So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be changing out this trim piece here. This is technically a chrome trim piece on the Series 2 Wagoneers. This is a non-carbide edition. This is vinyl wrapped, and we are going to be changing it to an actual carbide edition black OEM trim piece. In order to do that, the rear fascia needs to come off, and hey, keep it down. So one of the first steps in order to remove the rear fascia is we need to pop out the tail lights. There are some screws behind these covers and behind the tail light that we need to remove. This is your first piece to remove. What you're gonna do is you're gonna take one of these and gently stick it in from the bottom and work its way loose, and it will pop out. There are 3 tabs behind it that will reveal 2 Torx bolts that are T27. There's one right there and one hiding right there. You will remove those 2 and these lights will pop out this way. Once you go ahead and remove those 2 Torx bolts, Torx screws, the light itself just pops out this way diagonally. There are 3 push-in pins that you will pull out. They are not snug at all, and you will reveal a connector. So you will pull this red tab up, squeeze, and unplug. Very, very simple. This will reveal that bolt right there for the bumper, along with some tabs that hold it in place. So as you can see, both lights have now been removed. We have access to these 2 top bolts and clips. The next step now will be to remove this wheel well trim piece. Some folks, and I've previously have done this as well, where I just pulled it back to about here and let this side hang. Not sure if I'm going to do this on the Wagoneer or not. We'll see how it goes. But it is also just held in by push clips all the way around. So we'll have to slowly use our pry tools and go ahead and remove those. Got to do that on both sides. So as you can see, we're using a plastic trim removal tool. I'm just slowly working our way around the perimeter and popping the tabs out. I would highly suggest not to do this when it's cold. Plastic is brittle when it's cold. To do this on a warmer day, at least that's been my personal experience. You know, it is currently about 75 degrees outside, so it is nice today. We'll continue working our way along, remove this. There is a bolt that you need to get to here, and I believe down here, along with some over here that hold this area of the fascia in. We have to do that on both. Okay, so the trick in order to pop these out, is they can be a little bit tight. What I found is when it's like this, is to put a nice wide plastic trim tool in, put it in here, give yourself some room so you can kind of see where it is, and then gently use one of these to reach behind the trim tool, right, and then press in on both sides and it'll pop it out of that hole. You can also sneak your fingers back here and lift the wheel well housing to kind of feel where they're at. So once you have this piece off on both sides, this will reveal this bolt right here. I believe that's a 10mm, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts right there. They look like 8mm to remove that hold the wheel well housing to the rear fascia. Got that on both sides. You go ahead and remove that next. So at this point, once you go ahead and remove Those screws, you do not have to go all the way around. You just need to remove it here. This is ready to come off. It is just simply pressed in, typically right here with a mounting strip. We are not going to remove that just yet. We'll let that stay, as we will go ahead and remove, there's bolts underneath here and 2 bolts there and there, along with the hitch cover. So we will remove the hitch cover next. Remove the 10mm bolts. I believe there's 4 of them along the bottom that secure the bottom to the hitch, and we will remove those. Once we get that done, you should lay out some moving blankets, something soft, some sort of pad, so when you pull on the sides, the bumper is essentially ready to be lifted off, and you can tilt it and put it right down on the moving blankets. There's also going to be a wiring harness somewhere, which we will yet to figure out, to disconnect for all the parking sensors and radar stuff. So folks, helpful hint for yourself: before you crawl underneath the car and start rolling around to remove the 10mm bolts that are underneath, go into your vehicle settings and turn off the feature for hands-free power liftgate. Otherwise, this thing's gonna be going up and down, up and down, up and down as you're rolling around, messing with the bolts underneath. So at this point, what you wanna do is you wanna crawl underneath your car, take a small pick, pull this white piece back, and then squeeze right here to pull this plug out. This is on the driver's side, right behind the rear wheel, up on the frame rail. This is one of the connectors that feed the bumper. And then you could do the same thing. This one's gonna be hard to see because there's a fart can in the way, but one on the passenger side as well. You got to do that on both sides. And this, at this point, we have the 4 bolts removed along the bottom, both sides removed here, and the little 2 small bolts removed there. At this point, I believe this rear fascia is ready to be removed. You would start by giving a tug this way to unclip it here on both sides, lift it up off of these, and it should slide right out. All right, so we have the rear fascia off. This is about 40 minutes into this project. It is actually not hard at all. Here's my rear fascia. So a couple more things I learned while during the removal process. There is a ground strap for the rear fascia that we need to remove. You cannot unhook it as it is tied into the harness. This ground strap ties in on the driver's side rear frame, very easily accessible. It is a 10mm bolt, and you have a plastic Christmas tree holder zip tie thing that you need to pop out. If you do not remove this, you will not be able to remove the rear fascia. It will get hung up on this. Here are your hands-free, this is your hands-free sensor. I always thought it was on both sides, but apparently it's only on this side. Oh, actually no, there is some sort of wiring that runs here. Okay, so that must be some sort of antenna system right here. So it looks like it's along the hitch area. I always thought it was right here. Here are your radar detectors for your blind spot monitoring. It looks like something else apparently goes here as well, which this vehicle doesn't have. I'm curious on that. Maybe it's for a different type of style radar module. I don't know. And here are your 2 connectors that we unplugged. Lucas, don't touch. Mommy will be mad. And obviously single exhaust on all Wagoneers, so there's only 1 heat shield. Would be nice if it had dual exhaust with some nice tips, but that's just my 2 cents. And let's go take a look at this. The receiver hitch itself is nice and beefy. I am surprised on that. That ground strap is right here. Oh, one of the bigger challenges I had was this top piece. As I mentioned previously, I had no idea how that snaps in or is clipped in. I did not want to break anything. It is just held in by tabs. They do not break. Do not go postal on it. Just give it a nice tug and give it some consistent pressure on this part here while pulling that way, and they will unzip like a zipper. They will start popping out. Eventually I had some difficulty as I didn't know if this piece needs to come out or if they're popped in, but one of them let go, and then I quickly realized give it a little bit of a better yank and just kind of work its way through. And then the fascia will not fall. It will kind of rest on this. Use both hands, lift it up, and set it aside. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and tackle removing this piece. As you can see, this is vinyl wrapped, but we have started to have some issues here. A new piece from a Carbide is about $100, so we're just gonna go ahead and replace that. So our primary goal is to swap this out. As you can see, this is vinyl wrapped, starting to have a little bit of bubbles. It pulled back a little bit. We rewrapped this a couple times, still had some issues. It's a hard one with all the curves. So for $100, you could get a new Carbide piece. Anyways, in order to remove it, there is a small, I want to say, it is a T15 Torx head bolt on both sides, holding the corners in. This is one of the reasons why we have to remove the fascia. You can't get to this. And then second, all these silver tabs is what is holding the trim piece in. However, they do not just pop out. They have this little plastic clip in them that goes in from the bottom. You can kind of see one right there. In order to remove it, you take your pick. I mean, this is going to be kind of hard. You press down, and there it goes. Boom. Try not to lose it. There you go. It's somewhere here. And that releases the trim. Work your way across, then take a plastic trim piece, and it should pop right out. And here we go. Factory chrome trim piece is removed. Undamaged, not broken, all one piece, easily removed with just a little bit of time and patience. I did take the vinyl, the wrap off. So now we'll just clean this up. I am gonna take this opportunity to remove my lights and wrap them in tint. And here is the new piece.